Hello and welcome to KSB TV. Today is our first stream after the HEX birthday, so we have a lot to discuss, and you see it already. We have crypto coffee here at our channel, and we want to talk about so many crypto things, so let's not spare any time. How's it going, crypto coffee? How's it going, HEX Line?
Great to be here. It's been I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. I miss you guys.
HEX Line,
yeah, we are missing you too.
What are some of the topics that we would like to discuss after we do the little introduction?
So first of all, hello from my side as well. And after the introduction, where we go over some tweets you collected together a bit, we will go at first over the HEX ecosystem, like especially for new people, like where to find like all the stats in the HEX ecosystem, or which sites to use for that, or where can you find like all the details, which which we got in the HEX market in the last 3 years. After that, I would like to talk about strategies for Pulse and Pulse X launch, especially if you are a sacrificer and still want to increase your bag, or if you missed the sacrifice phases. And then the last topic of today would be decentralized liquidity. How does it get formed? What it is? Where does it come from? And how does it work? And what does that mean for the future as well? So I'm happy to have Coffee here to discuss all of that with us, because he's like also an expert in this kind of topics.
And right now, I don't know about you guys, but I have the feeling we have so many new people in our chat always in the last couple of weeks. It's just getting more and more people that we onboard. And I want to show a little video of Crypto Coffee. If people maybe do not know him, definitely go check him out. Crypto Coffee on all the social media channels, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, I believe. And I made a little TikTok myself here of Crypto Coffee, and let's look into that for a second.
I used to have a coffee company called Crypto Coffee, and I used to try to sell coffee on the internet. It was one of many failed entrepreneurial endeavors that I did. And I broke even just about, and I had three different blends, right? I had Proof of Beans, which was a light roast, I believe. I had Moon Fuel, which was my medium roast, and then I had Satoshi's Vision, which was a dark roast, an espresso roast. I thought people were gonna love a way to actually spend your cryptocurrency, because it's peer-to-peer digital cash, and that's what this whole thing was designed for, right? Dead wrong. Nobody wants to spend cryptocurrency. It's not a currency at all. They want to hold it because the number goes up, and everyone's getting rich, right? Everyone wants to get rich, but everyone wants to beat around the bush and hide their desire for more money with digital complexity and this narrative of I'm in it for the tech, right? It's all bullshit. It's okay to want to make money, guys. It's okay to want a better life for yourself. And I think people need to come to terms with that.
Wow. So who was that guy? One of the videos.
That wasn't me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you look pretty different right now.
Yeah, freshly shaven.
This was 1 year ago. In this interview, you said that your YouTube channel is going really, really good. So give us a little introduction of your journey in HEX, of your journey in crypto, because you have been in the game for quite a while. And that's why I'm so glad that you're on here today, so we can discuss crypto. But give us a little introduction of who is Crypto Coffee.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm pretty much just like everybody else in crypto. At least that's how I started out. I learned a lot about what works, what doesn't work. I'm just learning along with you guys, but I've been here for 8 years. So that's longer than half the time crypto's existed. I understand from an experiential point of view that stuff like trading does not work. Short-term thinking does not work. You're not going to make a bot and be an overnight success story. You're not going to buy 100 shitcoins and be an overnight millionaire success. It takes time and patience and delayed gratification. So it turns out the only thing that works is the most boring financial advice possible, which is buy and hold and don't do shit and then sit on your ass and wake up in 5 years. The best thing that could have happened to any Bitcoiner in 2010 was that they lost their private keys and they forgot about it for 10 years. That would have been the best luck you could possibly have, because there's no way in hell if Bitcoin goes from $10 to $1,000, then it goes all the way back down to $200. I probably would have gotten shaken out. I would have sold. I bet you would have sold. A lot of us would have sold, because what HEX allows us is to save ourselves from ourselves. The reason I like this product so much is that it changes our behavior and our psychology to have a lower time preference, meaning you don't need money for X amount of time and you are rewarded for doing so. You know, in HEX, stakers are, non-stakers virtually lend their value to stakers, because from a staker's point of view, from their frame of reference, they don't experience any of the inflation. But HEX is inflating every day, and all that inflation goes to stakers, because what the stakers do is they take supply off the table, they buy, hold, and they hold the price up. Non-stakers have the privilege to dump on your head at any time, but for that privilege, they get diluted by the staking class, which is minting all of the inflation over here. It's such a beautifully designed system that I think is revolutionary, because it really teaches people from a financial perspective how to think more long-term and how to value more long-term products. I think the problem with everything, society, it starts with money, but when people don't have a money that they want to hold, right now, when you get paid in dollars, you want to, hold on, how's my audio? My audio is fine.
Good.
Yeah. When you get paid on a paycheck, you don't want to hold on to your dollars. You want to get rid of them as fast as you can, because you know that inflation is eating your purchasing power away every single day. The Federal Reserve is just printing your money away to oblivion. Back in the day, that didn't happen as much, because people were more likely to save because they thought that their money would be worth something in a couple of years. Now it's not cool to save money anymore. Now it's like, okay, where can I put this money into a place where it can outpace inflation? So HEX is teaching people to favor longer term products. And I think that flows into every aspect of life too. Now that I start thinking more long term, like in terms of what's my life going to be like in 5 or 10 years, I start choosing my products differently. I start choosing the people I hang out with differently. I start choosing the types of actions in my life. My habits aren't as destructive because I'm thinking more long term. So this is something it starts with the money, but if you fix the money, you really do fix the world. And I think a lot of people need to realize that. And HEX is doing just that. It's monetizing time. It's monetizing delayed gratification. I've never seen anything else like it in crypto. So that's why I'm excited to be here and do what I do.
And also, no, give me a second here, because there were like several attempts already in the last 3 years, to copy HEX. So HEX was, for example, the first one who had like this delayed gratification, this form of the real staking, because everything else was like, yeah, we have staking, but you could end it like every time, like 24/7. So that's not
I
really
like to say it's staking with consequences, right? It's staking where you don't
commitment.
Commitment, yeah. So TVL, it total value locked. It's a bullshit term, because it's not really locked. You can take it out whenever you want to. But yeah, I agree with you. Every other copycat of HEX, they tried to copy it, but they took out the only feature that matters, which is delayed gratification. Like, remember Wise Token? They tried to copy HEX, but then they said, oh, but you can mint your inflation every single day. It's like, well, that defeats the whole purpose. Then you just have an infinite increase of supply that people are dumping on your head every day. And what does the chart look like?
We also had like something with, we are locking the liquidity. Also like bad idea.
Terrible idea. Because innovations happen. Why would you want all of your liquidity locked up in an old protocol? Uniswap V2. The stupidity of crypto is infinite. And that's all I have to say.
Another stupid example that because that the audience can learn here is that every transaction costs like 1 to 5%, and that amount of fee will like be redistributed to the holders. Or
reflection tokens. Any token that has a tax on it is I haven't seen one that I have ever liked. They're all enormously stupid.
And the gratification in HEX is really the base fundamental, right? And I have a funny comment here from Randy Hilaski. Is Coffee Hexicans Benjamin Button? Because you look so much younger than 1 year ago. And I think this is what HEX does to you. I was similar.
Maybe you should shave. Maybe you should shave.
Here's aging.
Maybe you should also shave.
Yeah, I mean, Richard Hart said it as well, right? He lost the beard as well to Yuk Younger, but I mean, Hex just does that to you. You have your staking ladder set up. Now you have assurance that you will have Hex in the future and even more than you had in the past. And this just makes you take care of yourself. I have people here in the chat that they said that they lost the habit of smoking cigarettes, for example.
Mhm.
Other people lost the habit of alcohol and stuff like this. And this is just how Hex forces us basically to such a good behavior. And I think this is one of the reasons why we as Hexicans are so successful.
Yeah, well, the ones that are doing Hex right have been successful. And a lot of people come to Hex and they're not ready for it yet. And then they do it wrong, or they blow up and they nuke their whole stake because they end stake early or something else. They do some other behavior that, you know, that ends up with them losing, and then they go away or they talk shit about Hex for the rest of their lives because they're just tainted and salty for the rest of their lives. I think you need to be ready.
What I see right now as well, I mean, not much, but a little bit, are people end staking the 50% mark.
Yeah,
Like
it's
where
crazy.
you know, with long stakes, when you hold like at least 50%, you at least keep the principal what you put it in, and still get some of the interest back. But for all the stakes made before November 19th of 2020, the so-called big payday, they are losing their entire big payday bonus, for example.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous to me. You know, there's
I always wonder why are these people in this situation? Like, I have my Hex staking ladder. I'd never consider emergency end staking. Why is somebody doing this? Because it's such a harsh penalty, right? Today we want to geek out and we will look in all the stats. And then one of the stats that is really important, Patrick was just mentioning it, is what day do we have in the Hex smart contract today? Because if you staked before big payday, then the penalty is even different. And since we said delayed gratification is the core fundamental of Hex, we want to dive deep into this. So Patrick, what is the first screen share that we would like to share? And then we get more into the crypto topic with Crypto Coffee here.
Yeah, so I would say the first thing we should bring up is Hex Daily Stats. So the first topic would be where you can get informed about the whole Hex ecosystem. So where are all the stats and how to understand the stats a little bit. So we can already bring up my screen share if you guys want to. I do. Yeah, it's already here. So first site I wanted to show you is Hex Daily Stats, where you have like this live data of the current day. The current day is always seen here in the top left. And then if you scroll down, you have an entire list of all the past days of all the 3 years and 10 days of the past, where you can have a look, which is and here let's go over which are like some nice stats to look at. What I like, for example, is the payout per T-share. So for everybody who is new, once you stake your Hex, you're actually burning your Hex and you are transforming them into T-shares, and the shares, T-share, the T is just like stands for a trillion of those, a trillion shares. And only the shares are bringing you the return of investment, the more Hex. So if you stake your Hex and you get like 1 T-share for that, then this would be your amount of Hex, which you get on top of your principal each and every day. And once your term is finalized, once the last day of your time period, of your staking time period is over, you can end stake it, and then you will get your principal plus all the accrued interest back.
And Kavi, what do you make out of these sites? We have all of these stats for every single day. You can look into Hex. What was the T-share price? What was the T-share pool, for example? All these things. What is the most interesting column for you on this chart?
I love this
So
chart.
what is your most beloved column exactly?
Well, I mean, it's the charts exactly. If you go up a little bit to the charts portion, you can see here that even in a bear market, we have steadily growing current stakers. And a current staker is more important than a current holder, because anybody can be a holder, right? But if you're a staker, and you could just dust a bunch of holders, you can send 100 Hex to 1,000 people. They're not real holders. So a real on-chain metric of adoption is stakers, because stakers have to actually go in there and manually click the button to stake, and manually vote with their actions that they believe in this product for X number of days. And this number is growing every single day. And I think it's grown just as much in the bear market that it has in the bull market. So all of the
Yes,
stakers
it has. I was just looking that up, because when you look where my mouse is right now, 15th of September last year, I guess that should be like around the time of the all-time high, right? It was like September 2021.
Yeah, exactly.
And since then, like at the all-time high, were at less than 60,000 stakers, and currently we are nearly at 116,000. So we actually doubled the amount of current stakers since the top.
Yes, and one nuance there is that with HSIs inflate this number a bit, but it's still very remarkable. It's still very impressive, because even if you discount HSIs, and let's say there's 10,000 HSIs out there, the fact that we onboarded almost as many people in a bear market versus a bull market, it's pretty bullish. In most other coins, you would see a very steep drop off, but we have very steadily increasing over time every single day.
And Coffee, can you explain with the HSI? Because for a second I was confused here what you wanted to say with that, but maybe you can explain a little bit more why this number goes up because of the HSIs.
Yeah. HSIs, one of the downsides of HSIs, besides increasing and inflating the average weighted stake length, is that I think a lot of people were rushing to make HSIs just to mint ICOSA, and luckily now people are learning that that's a bad strategy. But what people were doing is they were rushing to make all these wrapped stakes. And when you wrap a hex stake using the Hedron protocol, it gives that stake its own unique public address. So it appears to be that, and I don't know, I don't think that Hex daily stats is filtering out HSIs. But for example, if I am one human being and I make 10 HSIs, I appear to the blockchain as 10 separate addresses. So I appear to this chart as 10 separate stakers, even though I'm just one guy.
And this is the fact that every HSI is basically its own address, right? And this makes it movable now. Now we can sell it. Now we can tokenize it. This is the reason. So thanks for that. Patrick, what are other things, other charts that you want to point out here on Hex daily stats?
That's about it, actually. So you can go over that. You can go over the line. Maybe one more thing. Should we go ahead, Coffee, and explain like this API rate a little bit more? Because sometimes, when somebody new comes into the system and then makes like a 10-year stake or a 5555 stake, he is kind of upset if he looks like a week later at go.hex.com, because it only tells him like a little over 20%.
Yeah, I mean, so the API rates, right, that changes every day. It's gonna end up being an average of all the rates combined. The average is unpredictable in the future, but it's going to be higher because the daily payout per t-shirt per day is likely to increase, because shares are likely to tend to be deflationary, as well as EES penalties are going to spike up the rates on any given day, at particular times. If you make a maximum length stake today, I think right now the estimated APY is about 36%. Do not get that confused with hex.com. Hex.com says 38% on the homepage. That is the global average for everybody, including people that got big payday bonuses. Pretty soon, that global average will come down, and it will start to be more like 35, even 32%, because all these stakes you're seeing right here, I mean, these are days that have happened to have high penalties and all that.
And I just said it in a German stream as well. Somehow I have the feeling we see more and more emergency end stakes. And my favorite part of this chart is here the daily payout in Hex, because it's a 6.3 right now, 6.3 all the other days. And I remember a couple of weeks ago, it was always 6.1. So I like to see this number increase a lot. This is my favorite part of the chart for sure.
Yeah, that's always nice to see. And it will start to gradually increase, because the less shares in the system, the more. So the Hex inflation gets distributed among shareholders, but as there are less and less shares in the system, because old whales are burning their shares at a faster rate than new participants can mint shares, that inflation is being distributed among less people, less shares. So the payout per share will gradually go up, and we don't know how high it will go, but it'll be interesting as soon as a lot of these, we're seeing it play out right in front of our eyes. A lot of big payday, pre-big payday stakers are ending their stakes now, and it's giving new people a chance to, get all that hex that's distributed from the old whales to the new potential whales.
Yeah, just one example here. So not even 3 months ago, we were at 10.5 million T shares, and if we go like to now, we are at 10.26 million T shares. So only in the last 3 months, we had a deflation of T shares already of 240,000.
Yeah, it's going down fast. I mean, imagine in 3 or 4 more years.
And
And
whenever
also like
something,
especially like in the last few days. So if I go like here last 30 days, so like 20 to 30 days ago, it's pretty stable. Okay, you also have like the plus numbers, but it's like a little less than what got created. Then here on the like 10 to 20 days ago, we got like a little surplus on some days, but we got like huge eliminations of T-share in the other days. Like here 21,000 less, 22,500 less, 56,000 less, for example. And then the current 10-day cycle as well, just 2 days with increasing T-shares and the rest decreasing. So it looks pretty good.
and the T-shares are like a nuclear reactor that make more hex just continuously, right? We want to understand how this works, and therefore we have the next site here that Patrick has prepared in his tabs, where you can actually see how could the T-share price be in the future. And I think this is really interesting. I was thinking about hexfire.io.
Okay. Then let's go there first.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's like from the German stream, I'm not like on the main pages anymore. So that would be hexfire.io. Hexfire.io. It's only like yeah, that's Power BI. This is like just that you can see all those statistics right here. And what I like here a lot is stats. I mean, here with the hex staking data, you can play around and then like find whatever you are looking for. And here at the charts, what I like a lot is here the estimated share rate. I mean, here he at first had 2023 to just show it like for 1 year. Yeah. And then just go like over the lines. Okay, this blue line is just like a mathematical multiplier from a mathematic, and then we have the actual share rate. This is like this little blip here in the on the left, and then we have the estimated new share rate and the estimated new share rate without the participation of the origin address, because the origin address has some stakes which are usually ending towards the end of each year. But in the last 2 years, the origin address did not end stake their stakes. It was another community member who good accounted it. Good accounting is not affecting the share rate, and that's why we have like here towards the end a new estimation. Or if the OA does something, then it would create a spike in the T-share rate.
Is that true that good accounting? I thought good accounting does affect the share rate.
No, good accounting is not affecting the share rate because it's not minting hex inflation. And only when hex inflation is minted, the code needs to ask if this certain staker by restaking for the same amount of time, the principal plus all the accrued interest, would this specific staker get more shares by doing that? And this question is only kind of asked by the code. It's better to understand it if I explain it that way. Asked by the code only when people are performing the end stake function, not with the good accounting function, because the good accounting function just makes the active stake stop and everything remains in the contract. The principal still remains in the contract and all the accrued interest as well. And only later, when this specific staker is performing the end stake function, only with the end stake function, new inflation gets minted. And only then it affects the T-share
But
rate.
see, so what you're saying makes sense, but I was under the impression, and maybe somebody in the chat can clear this up, but I thought that it was when you run good accounting, it's true that your hex is not minted and given back to you yet, but I thought that it did burn the shares. It just withheld the hex.
Yeah, it burns the shares, but only burning shares is not affecting the T-share rate, because the T-share rate is not affected by how many T-shares are in total in the pool. The T-share rate is only affected, the T-share rate is just a rule that nobody can cheat the system, so that nobody can get more shares by restaking principal plus accrued interest for the same amount of time again.
So if you ran good, so I thought that this happened before, where if somebody ran good accounting on an origin address stake and it increased the share rate globally.
No, the share rate was unaffected. I mean, I can go back if you want to like last year when John Wick did that. That was beginning of December last year.
Right.
Guess I
Yeah.
would be more or less pretty quickly to find that. And then you can also see that there is no.
So is that? I wonder if that
Uh,
stake is still unended.
So we have Gold Key here, and Gold Key is saying it
oh,
affects the payout, but not the T-share rate. So like Hexline is saying, only when coins are being minted, then then the T-share rate goes
Cool.
up or not, right? Then this decision has to be made.
That's cool. I learned something new. My understanding was not perfectly clear on that. That's so I do wonder then. Remember when John Wick did GA on that
yeah,
one?
and it was around this time. So here we are at the 27th of November 2021, and if I go and we started at 9,577, and if I go like 20 days, it's still at 19,750, and OA stakes would have way more impact on the share rate because of near max, bigger pays better.
Wow. So it does affect the payout per T-share though, because it does give all
it does affect the payout per T-share because it burns the shares. So on the very next day there are less shares in the pool, meaning that the payout total gets distributed to a smaller pie.
And since I still hold my T-shares, right, I didn't do anything, but somebody else burned their T-shares. Now I have a bigger portion. So at the end, it benefits the people that hold on to their T-shares the longest. This is how the game theory was made, right? And this is really the core fundamental of Hex. This is why we love it
that's
so much.
also the reason. That's also the reason why on go.hex.com your specific average APY, which is shown there in the stats, is going up bit by bit over time. So for example, our first stakes we made in 2020 were performing in 2020 like pretty poorly. But then with big payday and also if you started a stake like in December of 2020, it also started with a less APY number at go.hex.com than it is now, because in December 2020 we had like an average of 4.5 hex payout, and now we have 6.3. So also the average APY of your specific stake is increasing.
That's amazing.
But now I think
Because you said, for example, we have in the stats it shows like 35 or 36% of APY if you now make a 5555 stake. But at go.hex.com it still starts only with a little bit over 20%, because over time, as more and more T-shares are getting burned, your portion of the pie gets bigger, and that's why your APY average percentage yield over the 15-year time frame is increasing as well.
Yeah, and it's easy to see on stakehex.today as well. There's a nice curvature to that daily payout, and it's cool because the alternative would be just to let the stakes sit there and bleed out, in which case it would also drip back to all the stakers. But what do you think was better, to run good accounting or to let it bleed out?
When it comes to the OA, then I would like to see it good accounted on the 15th day. Therefore, giving the whole community at least 1 day of bleeding of OA stakes, which would just be like a nice thing, because usually OA stakes are coming out in like 7 or 8 consecutive days, so that would be just like a nice payout 2 weeks later, 15 days later. But it's just like something, little nerd thing from my personal side. And to all the other stakes, I would enjoy or like it to see that we wait the entire 2 years until the whole stake is mathematically fully bleeded out, because then if you could account this stake after 2 years, the code would automatically flag the whole stake as a penalty because you came so late. Late end stake penalty, it's called, and would distribute all of the coins within the stake to the staker class. And if you could account a late stake like a year late, then if the actual owner of the stake is coming back in like 3 years, 5 years, because like first time, like when he read in a newspaper of Hex, like, I did something like years ago, oh shit, I forgot about it, and then he looks and still finds like 50% of the value. I don't think that's a good way to go. I guess it's better to be diluted a little bit, because those shares who are still sitting in the pool are effectively diluting our payout a little bit. But I guess it's still better to wait for the entire 2 years to then good account it, to distribute the whole amount to the whole staker class, that those individuals who are just like too stupid to come back when they self-say they want to come back,
I wonder
then
what happens
they
after
shouldn't they shouldn't be able, to get something back when they forgot.
I agree. I wonder what happens. I don't actually know this either. When somebody bleeds out over 100 weeks and they have no more hex left, do their shares get automatically burned at that point?
No. So the hex code is only updating when somebody runs a function. If you if you never run any function, then the code will always have like those 10 million shares in
So
it.
you could have shares theoretically forever just sitting there, and people have maybe forgotten about them. I mean,
but that's why the good accounting function, I think, was made into an existence, because if somebody bleeds out entirely and nobody would good account or end the stake, then these T-shares are dormant. And now I get less hex because there are T-shares receiving inflation. And now I could go as a good player and good account that, delete those T-shares. And the only thing is that I have to pay the transaction, right? It would have been way better if the person who staked actually pays the transaction to end stake, but he probably lost the keys or forgot about it.
Right. Or died or went to jail.
Yeah, whatever.
That's very interesting. Wow, that's so much foresight that Richard had to have, or Kyle or whoever, to anticipate all these things. So yeah, guys, to recap, good accounting, it burns the T-shares, but it does not mint the hex. It's like a halfway job. And if you leave those shares,
exactly. That's why it's like for an individual, it does not really make sense to go with the good accounting function. It also does not decrease the amount of fees you need to pay. So it's just for like an advanced function, and it's mostly because of those things that people really lose their private key, really forget about their stakes, that those shares are not forever diluting the total pool.
And Crypto Coffee, you were mentioning this in the interview as well that we have. You guys, if you have not seen it, go to KSB TV. There we have an interview of Crypto Coffee. And there you were talking about how perfectly designed Hex is, the game mechanics, right? And this is making people behave in different ways. Now we have a health aspect coming into HEX as well, and we have Matty all in here with HEX Therapy Live. He is showing the health aspect of HEX, when you stake HEX, how you change your life. So this is totally something Richard Hart could never program in, right? This is just something that happens, that the community brings together. And now I think we geeked out a lot about HEX already. I think we should now continue on with our other topics that we have, because we want to talk about Pulsechain obviously as well, about the next innovation of Richard Hart. And this is what actually everybody is excited about, to see what will crypto look like in the future, right? And everybody wants to prepare themselves, and we want to give them some ideas how to prepare yourself for Pulsechain.
Yeah, I just would like to move the liquidity topic beforehand, because now we have like all this hex stats here. First of all, what I would like to show you guys here is the share rate expectation again. So for all the people who are not that new, who like did make a stake already in 2020, all those people, so before 2020, it's like until the 19th of November, for example. So all those people can expect a 13 to 14x return on investment in the form of HEX, because his estimation shows that we go up to 130,000 HEX per T share in the beginning of 2036. So yeah, a little bit beforehand. So like nearly 130,000. But what this is not shown is like your personal big payday. So that's like another X on your principal. Yeah, with the long stakes, it's actually a little bit more. And what it also does not show, like only until the red line and not with the estimation, is future emergency end stakes. So because we have such a long timeline to that, it's easy that we don't see only 125,000 at this time, that we might see 150,000 or even more at this time. Because as time goes on, I expect that the hex amount of emergency end stakes, it will still be pretty high, because people are just short-sighted, and then they see, in like, for example, they made a 10-year stake, yeah, so like in 2020, a 10-year stake to 2030, somewhere around those lines.
Yeah.
And let's say in 3 years from now, so like in 2025, hex hits $1. And they got like some hex here in the beginning, and got like 1 million hex for $1,000. That's definitely possible. Yeah, you could get 1 million hex like with less than that as well. And then in 3 years from now, so the stake goes, let's say, until here, a 10-year stake, and then in 2025 he is at the 50% mark. If we staked 1 million hex until 2030 before the big payday, that should actually be about, let me cut, 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be worth a total amount of hex about 4 million hex in 3 years. And then he is over the 50% mark. And then let's say hex is over $1. Then he has like current value 4 million hex, $4 million. If he would end stake now, he would still get like 2.2 million bucks. And then let's see if everybody can put their fingers away from this emergency end stake button.
It's so sad that some people can't see this longer term mindset, because they would be incredibly rewarded. But I'm trying to put myself into their shoes and imagining somebody that's fudding themselves out. And it's like, when you really understand hex, there's not much left that you can fud yourself out of. It's like, oh, what if nobody buys it? It's like, well, everything pumps in a bull market. People are going to come back. Look at everybody still here shilling it, explaining it.
But
there's always a
the
million
inflation
reasons, right? Like, they'll invent so many reasons not to do something. And it's crazy to me, because like there's always a reason that you can say, oh, but what if Richard Hart dies? Or, oh, what if like something, it's like the code is going to run no matter what. And
a lot of things is counterintuitive. You said, Richard, what if Richard Hart dies? Actually, they don't want that, but it would be something good, right? He would not sell, right? People would then know he could not sell. Actually, everybody, all the haters want that to happen. I hopefully doesn't not happen, because we all love our Richard. I want to see a lot of streams. But it's counterintuitive, right? A lot of things are like this in crypto. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for people to realize how permanent blockchain is in the next couple of decades. Like, I don't see any innovation replacing blockchain in the next few decades. And when you realize that Hex is the premier store of value app that lives on top of a blockchain, it could live on any different blockchain. If Ethereum dies, it can be ported over to somewhere else, right? Like if Pulsechain dies, like Hex can be. What if in the future we're using some totally different thing that nobody saw coming? Well, you can just drag and drop Hex onto that blockchain and continue to use it. I mean, it's pretty anti-fragile, in my opinion, from a development code standpoint. The only thing that people have to battle with are social opinions and the convictions of other people. And I think when people assign so much importance to, they need Hex to succeed, otherwise they won't be happy, like that's when they shake themselves out, because they want to close that differential, the it's like potential energy, right? When you make something so important that you can't live unless Hex succeeds, well, then you're much more likely to dump all your Hex, because, hey, at least now you don't have to worry about it succeeding or not succeeding. But people hold it to this high level of importance when you have to realize that it's just the way that things are going to happen. It's just the way the world is going to go. We all have our intentions on it, but we can't obsess. We can't become obsessed with, how is my day going because Hex is up or down 5% or 10%. Like, it's, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but it's just, I'm trying to.
I think you're sharing your experience. That's probably what you did in the early days of Hex. When Hex went up 10%, you were freaking out, just like me. I have never experienced 10x, 100x, 1000x. Hex did 10,000x, right? And I would have been shaken out already by the price going up so high, but I was staked. My decisions were made already, right? I was not in the panic to sell because I couldn't. A smart contract was saving me from that. Like the core fundamental of Hex, which really, this is what we all celebrate. Patrick, now you have clicked a little bit through the site here. Is there something else on the site that you would like to share?
Yes. So here at calculations, I was searching for that. That's why. It's like one of my favorite stats here, because I see like the total stakes which were ever being made. How much of them have already ended? How much are currently still open stakes? And how much of those currently open stakes are actually 5555 stakes? And we have like everything combined, and the HSI stakes, Crispy. So Crispy is the owner or the maker of this site. Decided to separate the HSIs as well. So this is like everything. And out of those 50,555 stakes, we have 12,364 open 5555 HSI stakes. Yeah,
Wow.
which does not necessarily mean that all of those 12,400 HSI stakes are like to be sold earlier. And total stakes. So the interesting thing for me here is the total HSI stakes were 17,000, but open 555 ones, open ones, okay, yeah, open stakes are like 16,500, and so there was like more than 4,000 HSI stakes made with less than 5555. And honestly, guys, the most sense it makes if you do a HSI stake for 5555.
Yeah, this is very interesting. I actually did not see this before. Thanks for pulling this up. This can show you exactly how many of the data from regular Hex stakers, how much of that is HSIs. It's only 16,000, meaning, 60. What in the bear market we had about
400.
Yeah, relative to the open stakes currently, it's only 16,000. It's a very small fraction, but relative to the new stakers, the unique stakers, you can basically go and say, well, we have 116 unique stakers minus 16,000. So we've got about 100,000 real unique stakers. And you could see when did HSIs come into existence, somewhere, was it January, February? I don't know.
It was March. It was early March.
Okay. Yeah.
Here.
So from there on, I mean, it doesn't seem to have a drastic impact, right? So we went from 84 to 116. We basically onboarded 84 to 116.
Since then it was like 50-50.
Yeah.
So like it went from 84 to 16, but about 16.
But minus 16.
That's like a 16,000 to 100,000, and then another. So without HSIs, current stakes would now be like at the 100,000 mark.
That's interesting. The math works out nicely. But yeah.
And Patrick, look at this. We have HEX 647, and he's making an argument that I was making in the past as well. HSI is not as good for my weak hands. Native stakes are fire. And this is definitely an argument that you can make, right? The native stakes forces you to hold. But once you are more experienced in crypto and you actually maybe already rode up one bull market, you are not in the need to sell, then I think this argument is not valid anymore. I think HSIs just give you a little bit more flexibility. And once you are financially in a different position, then this being in a need to sell does not really hold up too much anymore, especially with all the nice products that we have built on top of HEX.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree, but and also like when you say I would like to make a ladder, then are you really so short-sighted or weak-handed that you would need to sell your complete bag if you like if your idea is to make 5 stakes, every 3 years, 1 stake. So like you make one for 3 years, one for 6, one for 9, one for 12, and one for 15. Instead of that, you could also go ahead and make 5 individual stakes, all of them for 5,555 days. So like 5 individual HSI stakes. And every 3 years, like with the ladder, you just go ahead and sell one of those.
But then there's the argument, if HEX goes to like $700, you're probably going to sell all of them, and then it goes to $7,000.
Yeah, and then you have so much fucking $1 million that you don't need crypto anymore.
We're talking about nuances here to get the best strategy. And this is maybe a good bridge here to go over to our other topics, because we want to talk about ideas people could have and implement themselves to have a good outcome with Pulsechain and Pulsex, because these are the products that we are really excited about. And what are the first things that we can talk about? Maybe we can talk about the sacrifice a little bit. So the Pulsechain sacrifice was not as successful as Pulsex, right? So way more people were sacrificing and more money was sacrificed for Pulsex as well. So this makes me believe that people like Pulsex a lot, but makes a lot of opportunity as well for the people to buy Pulsechain, right? So where do we go from here? Hexline, Crypto Coffee, what do you guys think? How will the strategy unfold best if you have not sacrificed for Pulsechain but want to get in now? That is the question.
So for me, it's like you have 2 options. So if you want to be early with Pulse and Pulsex, if you didn't sacrifice, or even if you sacrificed and just want to increase your bag, there are 2 strategies in my point of view. And one strategy is like the less risky one, where you just go with USDC. And then you wait until the fork with your USDC, you wait until the bridge is live, then you bridge all your USDC in one transaction to the Pulsechain. And there on the Pulsechain, you are really small buys in like lots of buys in a certain time frame. So for example, what I did in HEX was in the first 90 days, I made on 50 days of this 90, I made a buy. And something like that you should consider as a good strategy for Pulse and Pulsex accumulation. So that's one strategy. And the second strategy would be a more speculative strategy, a more riskier strategy, which is where you go to a ERC20 token now, a volatile one, and all the ERC20 tokens will get a copy, and then once the fork is done, you're going with your copied ERC20 token to Pulse and Pulse X. And if also like the amount on the East chain is also like for Pulse and Pulse X in the end, then after the fork, you're selling your ERC20 on the East side against USDC and use this USDC. And on the Pulse chain side, you use the forked coins to accumulate Pulse and Pulse X. What do you think, Coffee?
I agree with everything you said. But I'll say it differently. So like, yeah, if you want to, 99% of you guys, if you missed out on the sacrifices, don't rush to do something that you might regret. There's going to be a dip. I'm pretty confident to say that there's going to be a dip in both Pulse chain.
One question to that. Do you think this dip will get us lower than like the average sacrifice price, which was like 3 zeros and the 1, 10,000 of a dollar?
Good question. I think it's more likely that it will go below for Pulse X rather than for Pulse chain, because there's a lot of FOMO. Let's be honest. Like, I know a lot of you out there, you want Pulse X to pump hard, but that's because you got into that sacrifice, but you missed Pulse chain. So don't bias yourself just by saying the coin that I'm holding is going to be the coin that pumps harder. Look at all the people that are thinking like you. You're not the only person thinking this. Like, everybody wants to swap some of their Pulse X for Pulse chain, because almost everybody missed out on Pulse chain sacrifice. It was only 2 weeks long, and it's probably going to be the coin that pumps harder, in my opinion. I could be wrong, in the near term, meaning the first year or 2 years. Now, Pulse X, there's a good chance Pulse X pumps super hard, like in 4 or 5 years. It's just going to take a little bit longer to ramp up, because the price of Pulse X is a function of the volume on the Pulse X trading platform. And then as we know, like, platforms just don't become viral and popular overnight. So they're both going to do well. I think Pulse X Pulse chain will slightly outperform Pulse X. But then I think over time, Pulse X might come up and beat Pulse chain over time. That said, how would you go about accumulating them? I know there's a lot of people out there. This question, we get it over and over again. Hey, I missed the sacrifice for Pulse chain. What's the best way to buy Pulse? Or, hey, I missed both sacrifices. What's the best way to buy Pulse X and Pulse? Well, just buy the dip. It doesn't matter how far the dip goes. Just look for dips that start looking for maybe 50, 60% dips, and then layer in your buys. If you get a 60% dip, great. If you get a 70% dip, great. I wouldn't focus so much on does it go below the sacrifice prices, because whether or not you got in at 0.0002 or 0.0001 or even 0.0004, it's not going to matter when it's 1 penny. You're going to be very happy that you got in.
I disagree. Sorry.
Go ahead.
You know me, Coffee. Because look at the amount of coins you could have, if you get like 4 times the amount of coins, like 0.004 compared to 0.001, that's 4 times the amount of coins.
But if it does,
so at a penny, I'm 4 times richer.
So how do you catch the absolute bottom, right?
We need it's not about the absolute bottom, but what you presented like a big range here right now,
I get it. I get that the difference is literally 4x. You're right. Mathematically, the difference is a 4x. Like, those early prices are important, but you have to be okay with the fact that you're probably not going to catch the bottom. And if we obsess all day on what price we get in at, it's just wasted energy. Like, to be happy with 0.003.
That's why I say it, like, buy a lot of days in the first 3 to 4 months.
Sure. Yeah. That's a good point, because the people that did that with HEX did very well. Dollar cost average into the first dip.
And it will be the same as it was in the beginning with HEX. We will have like fees less than a penny. So that's why I was able also to do that within HEX, because it was no problem to get into the AA with like 0 point something ETH, and then like once to the end of the day, it's looking nice, the rate still, like, let's add a little bit more. Yeah, no problem, because it just cost 1 penny.
And the people that dollar cost averaged into HEX, they bought on day 33. That was the absolute bottom. I mean, there's no way you could have done that. Like, not a lot of people would have just said, I'm going to go all in on day 33. But yeah, dollar cost average. get, if you have $1,000, put in $100 on day 30, $100 on day 31, do something along those lines to try to accumulate.
Yep.
The alternative strategy, I agree with what you said as well. The alternative strategy is to do ratio trading and to set a limit order. You just have to make sure that your limit orders are very, very safely low in order to catch a massive wick, because somebody might do something stupid and you want to be ready for somebody if somebody does something very stupid. Now, the hard part is defining what does something stupid mean. Like, let's take...
And also, like, what is a stupid ratio? Because it's like those are like two things. Because with the dip catching in the form of limit orders, I would more tend to do that with my bridged in USDC, for example. Because if I go the other route with a different ERC20 coin, and my goal is to have Pulse and Pulse X in the end, when should you do that? Do you really want to wait after the fork with your ERC20 token for like 2, 3 months, 4 months for like dollar cost average from this token into Pulse and Pulse X? Because I guess most people are going the ERC20 route because they want to have it right away, like before the bridge even starts.
Right. I mean, the best estimation I can give for ratio trading is take a look at what the price of HEX is before the fork. Let's say HEX is 10 cents. So you can reasonably assume maybe HEX will be somewhere around 5 cents to 20 cents. I don't know, after HEX launches. But if HEX is 10 cents and Pulsechain, let's say the absolute best price on Pulsechain was 0.0001, you might want to put a limit order at 1,000 pulse per hex, because what's 0.0001 divided by 0.1? It's 1,000. So, it might be a good idea, if we're assuming that hex comes right back to the same price that it was pre-fork, which it might not, might overshoot or undershoot. But if hex roughly remains at 10 cents, then you're buying Pulsechain coins with p-hex that's worth 10 cents, but not really. You want to make sure you're getting a lot of pulse for your hex, and there's going to be some people that just market buy with whatever the market price is. Don't do market buys, right? Use limit orders.
Patrick, I have heard you talking about something similar in the past, and maybe we can summarize in what situation we Hexicans are all in. When there was the sacrifice for Pulsechain or even Pulse X, but let's put that aside. For Pulsechain, the price of HEX was in a certain range, right? And when Pulsechain comes out, then we will see the price for Pulsechain, and now we will have a ratio, and it will put us all in the same situation. Is our HEX more valuable when we change it to Pulsechain or not, right? Because we will have this ratio at one point. Pulsechain HEX, because we had the price when we sacrificed. You know what I mean?
It's not on one point. Actually, it will be like the minute
at the start.
And the HEX pulse pool.
Right now, I have the feeling that it was really good to sacrifice the HEX almost like a year ago, right? Because the price was so much higher. How will it unfold when Pulsechain comes out and the price of HEX is so much lower than it was when we sacrificed? What do you think the Hexicans could do out of this situation? Because we are basically all in the same situation. I'm asking myself, how will the market behave with the HEX that they have?
I mean, in my speculative opinion, that's the reason why I'm also saying that we will see prices under the average sacrifice price of 10,000 to 1. So to put it in mass terms, to see prices under 3 zeros and a 1. So to see 4 zeros.
Yeah.
The reason why I bring this up is I think this ratio trading could be really dangerous, right? We have Randy here in the chat, and he's saying Randy likes ratio trading. Randy is in crypto since the beginning, basically. He knows what he's doing.
Randy likes danger.
Randy likes danger. For new people, I would not suggest the ratio trading at all. I don't even think I'm going to do anything in the beginning at all.
I like it.
You like it as well?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I will do something in the beginning yet, because we don't even have a launch date. But in general, I like ratio trading, because the ratio trading is less risky. It's less risky, guys, and I don't know why nobody understands
it's
that.
Less risky when
ratio trading
have a price. when things have no
No. It could also be like let's say ratio trading in other ERC20 coins, which are also both traded towards USDC. So that's what I'm not meant. So really like ratio trading. But if I personally fuck it up, because let's take Hex and Hedron. Let's say now I need 30,000 Hex 30,000 Hedron for one Hex. Yeah, example. And I take all my Hedron and I get into Hex. And then a few weeks or months later, I would only need 10,000 Hex, 10,000 Hedron for one Hex. So I effectively lost like 2/3, right? But as Hex, like Hedron, are both cryptocurrency who are poised to go up in US dollar terms, I did not lose so much. I made a bad trade, but I still kept my crypto. And the next step after like ratio trading crypto to crypto would be decentralized liquidity offerings for crypto to crypto pools, where you personally don't care if you get only this crypto or only this crypto. So you have like this range in your decentralized liquidity, and if it goes under here, you have no problem that you are just with one asset now, and if it goes over the top of your range, you also don't have a problem that you now have only this other asset. Yeah, which asset this is, you need to determine on your portfolio. Some people, there are thousands of ERC20 coins, so there are like a lot of examples out there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And
I mean, liquidity providing should be rewarded for like Pulsex or Hedron Pulsex or all those pairs.
Yeah,
I hope it is.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then the question is,
no, there was like another point Crypto Coffee made right now. Explained it a little more in detail. So what did you meant like getting rewarded? Because there is, on the one hand side, you get rewarded by traders who trade by their fees. But what you meant right now was the incentive token, right?
Yeah, of course. I think it'd be smart.
It
would be smart of Richard to do something where he incentivized liquidity pairs that benefit each other. So if he could incentivize the Icosa Hex Hedron triangle, or if he could incentivize the Hex Pulsex triangle, any coin that is like self-referential that benefits, the more heavily tied liquidity is to another coin, like the better it is for both of those coins when they go up. So yeah, I think from Richard's point of view, he'd want to incentivize his own. Richard is a Richard Hart maximalist, so it's likely that we're going to see high incentive coin to Pulsex, Hex Pulse, and then Hex Pulsex. Those three.
Hex Hedron and Pulse Hedron and Pulsex Hedron.
Probably.
But I think what he wanted to encounter with the incentive token is that you don't have bad liquidity pools, right? When you have Hex compared to a shitcoin, then you will not incentivize this liquidity pool. So this is basically a filter to filter out these liquidity pools. So because you're not incentivized, why would you provide liquidity in there? This is how I see it a little bit. You're more incentivized to go into this.
To go into this? Go into this. Okay, that was the point. Question to that, Coffee. Do you think that we get more rewards in stable coin to crypto pools than in crypto to crypto pools? I would say yes.
It depends if the market's in a bull or a bear market. If we're in a bull market, like the reason that we want high liquidity in stablecoin pairs now is because it's a bear market. But when everything's pumping, you benefit from having high liquidity in crypto to crypto pairs. So yeah, I think Richard will have to, or I guess it's all of us, right? We all have voting power in Pulsex, but let's be honest, Richard owns most of Pulsex, so he can vote on whatever coin he wants. I think he'll be smart, and he'll probably incentivize the right pairs for the right market conditions.
I agree to that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Now I know the question I wanted to ask you. How long do you think it will take for the bridge to come out? because we are all speculating, and what I am telling people out there is like between 2 minutes and 2 days.
2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean it might be done, like right, and if it's done, then we just need fork, AMM bot, bridge.
The bridge has been done for a long time. Right?
Actually, what I think Richard was saying is
that's
that
why I'm saying like 2 minutes. It could be
he needs
the
to
case,
bridge to take a while, right? I think this is what Richard said, like 1 or 2 days, in order that the crypto that arrives in your wallet, the Pulsechain and the Pulsex, does not have a price because you cannot bridge it. There is no tie to USDC, for example. It's only crypto in this ecosystem, and this is, I think, what makes the value being zero. And so, yeah, 1 or 2 days is, I think, what I heard.
I thought 2 days was more of a legal issue, right? Like you need 2 minutes. I think Richard wants to see 2 daily candles painted where he can technically say there was no value of these tokens. I mean, we all know it's a little bit, you know, we're reading between the lines here. It's not quite true. These tokens obviously have value. We're giving them value, but a US dollar value won't exist, or it won't, there won't be any way to prove that there is a US dollar value. But I think when he said 2 days, I thought he was just looking to paint two candles on the chart, 2 daily candles.
Yeah,
I think that's what I heard.
You generally agree like to my maximum time range then like 2 days.
2 minutes, Jesus Christ! Can you imagine?
Yeah, you know it
could be.
It might be because like I really don't. Is it such a legal problem in America? I have no idea.
You know, he's already done a sacrifice phase and he's pushing the limits. So I don't think he really.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying like so you know it's already like kind of gray territory, you know.
Yeah, you know, he might be. The only case I could see for him doing it after 2 minutes is he'd say like, okay, we have 2 minute candles, but I also want to protect people because people are going to get wrecked in ratio trading. He probably would want to release the bridge early to stop people from losing all their coins to smart people.
Yeah, and it would be like 48 hours of people who did not get into HEX and who are like just waiting for the bridge, asking like when bridge. I also want to trade. How to trade. Because you know everybody like after the fork who comes new or only has like stable coins cannot act on the Pulsechain.
Yeah, but that's why they have to buy HEX, right?
So this is one of the good strategies that the HEX line has, right? By USDC, it's a little less riskier, or by a ERC20 like HEX, for example. So you are already ready when Pulsechain launches. You have the copy of your ERC20 already ready to do something like ratio trading, because we don't know when the bridge is going to start, right? But with all this excitement about Pulsechain,
I would suggest like a combination of the strategies, you know, don't use just the one, use like a combination of those, you know, like the money, what you are saying, okay, I want to put into Pulse and Pulse X, like once they dip, this amount of money you should maybe more keep in stable coins, and then like the amount of money where you say, okay, that should be like my early speculation, that you should put already right now at risk, so to speak, you know, at the volatility of the crypto market by purchasing like a different ERC20 coin, and then you can already act pre-bridge as well. And then you have like parts of both strategies, and then you won't be mad if the bridge is only starting on the 3rd day or even on the 4th day, because there was something that I don't know. Richard is like not at home. No, I have no idea.
But this is obviously really individual. What is your personal strategy, right? This was just Hexline's opinion here. I have a little bit different opinion as somebody who has not had that much money in the past, right? And like I was really new to crypto. I also had a little bit of a different strategy. I knew that if I want to make it, I would have to make the right decision. And luckily with Hex, I was there, right? And then I would have to make the right decision investing as well, right? So I did not diversify in all the other things. I just concentrated on one thing. And I think this is exactly my point is I was making a little bit higher risk because I was putting basically all of my eggs in one basket. And if you want to have high prices in the future, I think you should go with a higher risk strategy, which is maybe acquiring an ERC20 token like HEX right now and not go with USDC, you know?
At all, you mean? Yeah, it depends also like on your personal risk preference, you know, because what will be a little hard is to decide. So let's assume that after the fork, let's assume you bought HEX as the ERC20 in order to have your opportunity from the get-go, but then directly after the fork and within 3 days after it, HEX goes down 60%. What are you doing then now? You know, because then
Exactly.
hour over hour, you're just seeing on the chart how you need more and more HEX in order to get Pulse, or more and more HEX in order to get Pulsex. Because as more people are doing that, the ratio, even if there is no price, will go in favor for Pulse, speaking that you would need more and more HEX to acquire one Pulse. I mean, more and more HEX. I mean, it starts like with 0.00 something, like that, speaking it that way. But yes,
know.
You know what? Somehow we can already anticipate that something like this will happen, that people will use their HEX to get a precious new thing, which is Pulsechain or Pulsex, right? Crypto, what do you think about that? Using your free copy to get Pulsechain, Pulsex.
Yeah, you know, I value HEX so much that it's hard for me to say, oh, trade your HEX for Pulse or trade your HEX for Pulsex. Because I think HEX has so much more potential. I would hate for somebody to trade all of their HEX away for PLS, and maybe HEX is the winner of next year. Maybe it outperforms PLS. Who knows? Either way, I think they're all three going to perform pretty great. But I guess what I'm telling people that are wondering about this are like, of your bag of HEX, try to allocate some to save and some to ratio trade. If you must ratio trade, which again, I don't think you should ratio trade, but if you have to, if you just can't help yourself, then take a bag of HEX, and then divide it in half and then stake half and then use the other half to buy Pulse and set a crazy limit order. Set I want to buy 2,000 PLS per HEX. You know what I mean? That's pretty darn low. Like if you're able to get 2,000 Pulse for one HEX, I mean, depending on the price of HEX, but
no, it's not depending on the price of HEX. If you're like just ratio trade, then it's not depending on the price of HEX.
Depending on the price of HEX in the future.
It's just or depending on the price of Pulse in the future, because so you should really sit at first, like up front, and then decide for yourself, okay,
right.
Now I needed like so much money to buy this HEX, for example, and then go with the ratios and decide for yourself, okay, once I see this ratio or below, that's my acquisition price.
Yeah.
Because then you're not like rethinking it like when it's time. Then you just have your strategy and then you already know. Then you just need maybe a second confirmation or whatever, like a big transaction before you do yours. Yeah, like in the same direction you wanted to go. So like yes.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Oh, that's the payout today. Nice.
Oh really? Oh okay.
Yeah.
Did we got a
Couple emergency end
stake?
stakes, yeah. And I guess somewhere with big payday, somewhere without big payday bonus, but it is looking really, really good for HEX stakers right now, because the emergency end stakes penalties are coming in. We were discussing that a little bit before, like half an hour before. If you don't know about that, just scroll back. And now maybe we should stop talking so much about the Pulsechain price, HEX price, because this is all so speculative. Maybe we can talk more about the facts, right? Like Richard Hart made HEX a better Bitcoin because it has this better game theory. Richard Hart also made Uniswap popular, and with Uniswap being more popular, these DeFi and decentralized finance became more popular and actually really started the bull market, right? And Richard Hart was carrying that on his back. Hex did then 10,000x, and now we are waiting for the next innovation to come out, and Pulsechain, I believe, will change the ecosystem. But let me ask you guys, what are the things that you think Pulsechain will be successful? For me, it is the community. I see how many people we were at the beginning of Hex. Almost nobody was talking about Hex. Now everybody loves Richard. Everybody loves Hex. It's a really outperforming product, right? But what are the things where you say Pulsechain will be successful because of this and this reason?
I mean, look, it's the value props and the community and the narrative, right? It's the community's job to carry the narrative forward. It's the community's job to explain the value props in a way that everybody can understand. I think we're ultimately going to win when it's cool to like Pulsechain and Hex. Right now, it's trendy to hate on Richard. It's like the trendy thing to do, just like it's trendy to hate on Elon Musk and stuff. But when these people are proven right over time, like, it'll be too late at that point to make life-changing gains when everybody is in agreement, right? So I think the controversy is helpful to a degree. I mean, everybody we talk to likes Pulsechain and likes Hex, but the average crypto user, who's the average broke pleb, basically, they don't agree. They don't realize what's happening here. This horizontal scaling solution for Ethereum tied with complete vertical integration with the walled garden. Hex being a better Bitcoin with modular code with less negative externalities, 100% uptime, paying stakers rather than miners, all that. Pulsechain just being the road that Hex can drive on. PulseX is also just another car that drives on Pulsechain, the road. PulseX is just a better trading platform with a function, with a coin that was actually designed to go up in price, unlike UNI token. If Uni token can pump that high with no fundamentals at all, and 90% of it owned by the foundation with fake governance, right? Imagine what PulseX can do with fake governance plus a buy and burn. PulseX still has fake governance, let's not forget. But yeah, I mean, it's what crypto needs, and I think it has to do a lot with the timing of things too. You can have the best tech in the world, but if the people aren't ready to adopt it, that's why Richard's so pragmatic and has his finger on the pulse of what people want now. We want to make money. We're here for financial freedom. We're here to change our lives. We're not here to talk about, what methodology of ZK rollups works better in Arbitrum. Like, that's stuff for the nerds to figure out while we get rich. No offense, guys. I know all this stuff. I'm not trying to offend anybody. But like these computer science theoreticals that need to be hashed out, the people that are using the stuff, retail doesn't care about that until it's usable. So we need to focus on where the user experience is at, what people are ready for. And I think Pulsechain, Hex, PulseX, it just meets the perfect trifecta of what people are ready for. And it still is real DeFi. So it's still real decentralization. It's still helping get a wallet into everybody's hands. The ultimate goal of crypto is to onboard the entire world through whatever coin, right? We're just using the narrative memes that hit hardest with what retail wants. And what resonates with retail is, I want to get money. I want financial freedom. We're not beating around the bush on that, okay? We're being very blatantly honest about the fact that these things have massive upside potential. And as a nice side effect, we get a global digital revolution. It just happens to be the nice side effect of everybody's greed, wanting to get rich, is, oh, hey, now we all have free borderless peer-to-peer money. Isn't that great? So it's one of those rare cases where everybody's greed happens to overlap with what's best for humanity, which is pretty good.
So I would like to take the chance to address like two questions of the chat. So one question was, where do I have it now? I'm sorry. One question was like, here it is. How can I not miss the chance when sacrifice is already done? So we are still like in the world of pure speculation. So nobody tells you that the sacrifice price or the sacrifice rate was the best ever rate possible. So there is the chance, that you see prices once those two projects starts, which are like better than even the sacrifice. So you definitely haven't missed any chance. And then a second question, right, beforehand about the different cryptocurrency, about Xen and their NFTs. So in general, everything will be forked. So for example, HSI stakes are NFTs as well, and those will be forked to the Pulsechain. But what you need to do if you are like in a different ecosystem than the RH ecosystem, you need to go to their community and ask them if they will support Pulsechain. Because if nobody makes like initial liquidity for your coin, it might be that the copy is just worthless. You know, if there is nobody in this community who is actively doing a pulse towards this forked ERC20 coin. Okay, let's make a better example. When nobody makes a Pulse or Pulse X towards, in that example, Xen pool, then you might have a really hard time to get out and into Pulse and Pulse X, because there is no ratio. So there is no automated market maker bot who can help you there, right?
Yeah. So a couple of things about Zen. First of all, thank you, Maddie. Second of all,
did you just say thank you, Maddie, to me?
No, Maddie.
No, Maddie was saying a comment here.
Here's Maddie. Okay, in the comments.
I wasn't being an asshole for once. So I think when it comes to Zen, you're gonna just need to ask. I feel like Jack is gonna redeploy Zen rather than fork it. I think he's gonna just take the contract and redeploy it, you know, because the fork would inherit the existing state of Zen. But what he's seemed to like to do lately is just, you know, plop his little coin on every different blockchain possible. It doesn't really matter, but what Patrick is saying is, guys, just go out there and ask, like, spread the word, you know, ask the developers about Pulsechain, because even if they say no, at least now they've heard about Pulsechain. It's up to everybody watching to raise a commotion and to get people to understand about what's happening in front of our eyes. And you've already done such a good job. Everybody's done such a great job. And it's almost like inevitable that this word of mouth advertising is a self-fulfilling feedback loop, because everybody wants their free copies of their coins. So all the retail users are going to be super annoying in all of these chats and bug the developers. Hey, you're going to launch on Pulsechain? Are you going to launch on Pulsechain? Even if the answer is no, they're going to hear about it because everybody's greedy and everybody wants their free coins. So it's kind of a genius marketing plan from that perspective. But also just realize that you are the network. You have the ability to ask, you know, all of us sitting around here talking on live stream, we're just 3 people, and we don't work for you, but we definitely want to help pump everyone's bags too. But everybody watching, just go ask about Pulsechain. Go ask your favorite token founder if they're going to deploy on Pulsechain.
Yeah. And one last thing here, thanks for the last question here. Pulsechain Hex Crypto P Hex E Hex Blockchain Notes. What a name! Thanks for that, bro. Because what he asks is if coins who just made a sacrifice phase will also launch right away on Pulsechain. And we don't know that. And you should be really, really careful if you are invested in projects which are made only a sacrifice phase, never launched on Ethereum or BSC, and just tell you that they launch on Pulsechain once it starts. Because they don't tell you they launch in the minute when Pulsechain starts. So my speculation is that some of those sacrifice projects who will start on Pulsechain will not start in the first minutes, and some won't even start before the bridge is live. So when you have those things, be really, really careful. There are different ERC20s out there besides Hex, which might make a good play. There are other coins which started on the BSC chain and will then be forked over to the Pulsechain. But in that case, it's again not a fork. It's like what Crypto Coffee just explained. It's just a migration onto the Pulsechain. And I don't know, you know. if there might be like a little detail in the code which needs to be worked on by those developers, from those different coins, and then they just need like a week more or 2 weeks more. So when it comes to those things, sacrifice projects who are not already started on the Ethereum network as a ERC20 coin, please be careful with them.
Yep.
Because at the end, you don't even know if they're going to start, right? And if they start not right at the beginning, but maybe weeks later, you have a huge opportunity cost because Pulsechain is already out. You could invest in Pulsechain, use maybe see already the price of Pulsechain going up, but the coin that you sacrificed for has not launched. So this is definitely something you should be cautious about. So what else do we have here? I want to encourage everybody in the chat to ask your questions. If you have questions about HEX, about the ecosystem, about Pulsechain and PulseX, because that's the topic that we are at right now. What are other things that you are excited about, Crypto Coffee?
Well, I'm excited about life, man. I'm just excited to be here, and I'm excited to experience all this stuff in the next coming years. It's going to be life-changing. It's going to be revolutionary, and it's happening right in front of your eyes. So if you're here right now, consider yourself lucky. I know waiting is boring. I'm waiting too, but try to bring it back to the basics, bring it back to what we talked about like at the beginning of this stream. Focus on understanding HEX better to increase your conviction of HEX. The best way to double down and increase your conviction is to have a deeper knowledge and understanding of it, because you'll be that much more confident in the future viability of both HEX and Pulsechain. I actually have to get going, but I really appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a great time.
Yeah, thanks a lot for coming by. And actually, we also have to get going. It was never planned that we are streaming for more than 1.5 hours here. We are just waiting like for if there are some questions coming up. Thanks for coming by, and thanks a lot that we had such a great talk today. I liked it a lot.
And I actually totally forgot to show the people our HEX birthday here. Today is the first day that we stream after the HEX birthday, and I think the HEX birthday was a huge success. Here, for example, a picture of Kaylin's birthday that we celebrated on December 1st, and we were all using HEX birthday, and then on this day, HEX birthday was trending on Twitter. And maybe you can just click here to see this little party here. Crypto Coffee was passing out on his bed. He was not coming to this party, not enjoying us. We had SJ, we had all a great fun. And obviously we were representing hex.com everywhere. This is what the video shows. And obviously then how did you enjoy the yacht here, Crypto Coffee?
That was a great time as well. I loved it. I hope there's no incriminating evidence of me.
Oh, no, don't worry. You're not shown here. This is just the back of the boat that shows hex.com 3 years of flawless operation, because this is exactly what we celebrated. 10,000x and also 95% dips are the huge opportunities in crypto. And here you see our beautiful community. For me, the number one reason why Pulsechain and PulseX will be successful, because we can just not stop talking about it. The people that are in the HEX ecosystem, that are in the Pulsechain ecosystem or in PulseX, they just want to spread the good word. And this is what we were doing with the HEX birthday.
All right, agree more. So it's great to see everybody in real life. It was awesome.
Yeah. Reassurance that we are doing the right things. Crypto Coffee, thank you so much for being here. Like Hexline is saying, we have to jump as well. Thanks for everybody here being in the chat. If you have any more questions, just drop them in the comments below. We'll answer them there as well. Thank you guys for being here. I'm so excited for Pulsechain. I will keep on doing this, being on live stream, educating the people about the biggest opportunity of a lifetime. And I cannot wait for the future. Thank you guys.
Peace out, guys.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye, guys.
Read it.